welcome back to a new video. This time I am making something for my fellow stay friends, which I met at the Straykids Concert in Amsterdam. The reason I'm doing this is because there was another person who took a Polaroid picture of us and I really loved it, so I took it home with me. But there only was one picture and there were 5 of us, so I thought I gotta make something for them too, you know? So that's where this project came from. That reminds me, maybe if you're one of the people who I am making this for, the people, you know who you are, maybe not watch this until you have received the present. Maybe. Anyways, let's get into it. Hey, I'm starting another project. After freeing the canvas and easels from their plastic confinement, I started to draw a guideline grid to help with the general placement of all the elements in the picture. Because although I'd love my paintings to be unique, I'd still like them all to have somewhat of a resemblance to each other. And of course, this wouldn't be a crafting video without me singing through lots of parts of it. I would aim hard, yeah, you down. Every day, I don't care what other people say. Oh, they know she's lying anyway. It's so scheef. Cause of your love that leaves me breathless. I can't help feeling we could have had it all. Rolling in the deep. After sketching the background, it was time to bring some color into the picture. Or, well, painting. The colors I am using for this background are kind of out of my comfort zone when painting because, well, they are very light and every little drop of color you put into your already existing color just changes it so much. But it was really interesting to try. And what I also love about painting is that it's pretty forgiving. You can make a lot of mistakes and then if it's really bad, you can just wait till it dries and go over with another layer. But mostly I can just add another little bit of ink somewhere and then it changes a little bit, and it's just in general very forgiving. And that really helps me because I tend to get anxious. I'll mess it up, you know. When I paint, I don't really use a plastic palette, but I try to use just paper palettes because then I can just spread it out and it'll dry quicker and then I can just throw it away instead of having to let it dry for a long time. But what also is very nice is because I use those paper palettes, I can spread it out and sometimes it gives a very nice pattern which I can reuse later on, which you will also see in this video if you keep an eye on the one in the very back. So the background is finished for all these little paintings. So now I'm gonna do the hardest part, and that's trying to paint people. I don't do it very often, but I really love painting people. It can be tricky at times, and I will definitely not say that I am very good at it, but I think that exactly that is why I really love it. Because at the end I see the results and I think, wow, I really did that. Even if it wasn't that good, it still turned out pretty okay. I just feel like I really accomplished something at the end of it. This is so much work. Oh man. I do think it helped that a little while ago I tried to draw some Pinterest pictures of people in different positions, and I think it really helped me just not overthink too much where certain limbs are supposed to go. Because in the end, in these little pictures, it's more about intuition than anatomy, because you can't be that precise. Thought it was love, but then you broke my fall. Fought for forever, got a couple months. Want some better, baby, good luck, have fun. So the sketch is finished. Now I have to start painting everything, and I am I'm really hoping it will turn out well. So now I am adding more details, and the first step I did was making the shadows, which I did by trying to recreate the color I used for the ground which we were standing on, and just adding a little bit of a cooler shade to it by adding blue and a little bit of black. The next step was coloring in bits and pieces. Now, let me tell you, coloring someone's skin and mixing the right color to do that, I hated it. I don't just I hated it. I just no. Don't call me to do that ever again. I gave up after the first color. I was like, well, now they just all get to have the color. I did not. No. Anyway, the next step was coloring our outfits, and because it was a Straykids concert, we were all wearing red and black. So I had to mix up a lot of different colors of grayish black to really create a contrast between our outfits and not make it a really big blur of black and red. And actually, it was really fun to mix those colors and then think, how am I going to distribute these colors, and how am I gonna make sure that they don't accidentally still look too much like each other, and how am I going to reflect the type of material that these clothes are made of. And I really liked that. And then I was working with the color white for one of the outfits, and then I realized, oh, I can also make the little plushies we were wearing. And after, which I believe now it has been quite some hours of painting, it was time to take a break. So I spread out my palette and I cleaned everything up a little. I just need to clean everything up. I would like another cup of tea also, and I just kind of need a break from painting. So that's what we're gonna do. And now we're back on the grind. And I'd like to point out that a reason why I love using paper palettes is because I don't feel wasteful when I spread it out and I get a new palette, because I know I will reuse those old spread out palettes again, which just, it's something nice, you know? And then it was time to paint everyone's hair, which was a really big task, but I think it went pretty well in the end. And when I was done with painting everyone's hair, I started to paint the easels a little bit, because I thought, well, I do need to customize them. So I painted all the little skazoos on the side, just not very detailed, but it was enough that you could recognize it was the skazoos. So I was really happy with it. I think it just really pulled everything together, and it gave it just a touch that it really made it more custom, and I really like those little things. And after that was done, all the painting was actually done. So I spread out my palette again, and it really gave us some interesting colors this time. And then I spread out some varnish over both the painting and the easels, so the colors would stay the same and it could endure a little bit of weather and a little bit of wetness. It took quite some time before the varnish was like dried up, so I had a lot of time just sitting around because I didn't really know what to do. So I have this whole time lapse of me just doing random stuff. Time for the reveal. 1, 2, 3. Oeh. Ah, ze zijn zo mooi geworden. Ik bedoel, they are so pretty. I also wanted to make a little card for my friends so I can put on it like, hey, I got the Polaroid with me at home, but I thought you guys also should have something. So I made these paintings for you guys. I wanted to write it on a card, but I didn't know what card I should use. And then I remembered, oh wait, I have these palettes lying around. So I looked at the palette and went, this really reminds me of those Claude Monet paintings. So then I decided, you know what, I'm making some water lilies and I'm making some what do you call it? Wisteria flowers. I made it those two on my old palette, and it just turned out really nice. And it turned out so nice. I actually wanted to keep it, but then I thought, no, I'm giving it to them. But I was sad to see them go. They turned out so well. It really amazed me, because this was the first time I painted these kinds of flowers, and it just it just amazed me, actually. And the colors were so pretty, and man. And now it was time to actually send those packages. I got the address of all of my friends, wrote down the address on all of them, and then I had to bike to the right place to drop them all off. And then I also treated myself to some ice cream. I also have some footage of me giving the gifts to one of my friends who lives close by. Jij weet toch wat het is?
Ik weet al wat het is, ja. Maar ik heb... Dit is reveal. Weet je hoe dit voelt? Toen we die ene freebie gingen openen bij het Straykids Concert, zat er alleen maar een QR-code in. Zo voelt dit. Wat zit er allemaal op? Sick. Dit vind ik gaaf. Ja, ik herken ook gewoon echt, zeg maar, goed te herkennen. Gewoon hoe die staat. Heb je dus kunsthoes gemaakt?
Ja.
Hi. Kijk, deze gaat op mijn pinboard.
And then I also have the last one, which I still have to give to one of my other friends. I'm just really happy how it all turned out. It was a lot of fun, and I also love mixing colors, even though it frustrates me sometimes to no end. But I was really happy to be making something that had a goal to be made, and then to give it to people. I also love surprising people. I just had so much fun. Anyways, see you in the next video.